Hello, welcome. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I have a diagram here, and I think it would be helpful. I thought it would be helpful. You can let me know if it helps at all, but I thought it would be helpful to sort of show the process of going through this. Okay, and by doing that, you can see at least what people do. I think most people go through this and until they get familiar with the notes and kind of what the notes do and where their place is. Okay, so each note has a certain function, and when you start moving things around, like you start sharpening notes and flattening notes, it changes the harmonic functions between the notes and ultimately the chords. And it can be a lot of information, but I think if you organize it the right way, you can narrow it down so it's not all over the place. So just to remind everybody that I had gone over the frets, the notes on the fretboard, and these are the notes we kind of talked about, and that there are notes in between these notes, and like there's a sharp, right? F sharp, there's a G sharp, and G sharp is the same as A flat, and that kind of thing. And the idea is to map the fretboard and to make it more comfortable to get around the neck. Talking about 12 notes, and the 12 notes they have certain functions. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be showing, for instance, here's the C note, right? If you take C and you just follow it up one half step at a time, right? Each one of these boxes is a half step. C, C sharp, D, D sharp. And remember, D sharp is the same as E flat. And then you have E, F, G, F sharp, which is the same as G flat. And G, G sharp, same as A flat. There's A, there's B flat, there's B, and there's C. So you have, from C to B, you have 12 notes. And that's a 12-note chromatic scale. And each one of those notes has its own sort of character in relation to all the other notes, and particularly in relation to the first note that you select. Like you pick C, the rest of these notes are going to have certain functions in relation to C. Okay, so we pick the we have this chromatic scale, and we're going to start to identify what the relationships are between the notes. You can think about it in terms of each note is from a different neighborhood or from a different maybe culture, or has its own sort of personality. And however you want to look at it, it has its own certain position, okay, in a spectrum of sound, right? We're dealing with frequencies and waves, sound waves, and we're dealing with tones, and all this is just from a natural organization of sound, really. And we'll get more into that later, but right now we're just trying to make it, I guess, user-friendly, make it sort of accessible by organizing it a certain way. So the last few lessons, I think, achieved that organization to show how the notes are situated on the fretboard. So now I'm going back to this, and I'm going to follow through this. And what I do is I mark out the points, right? So you divide this up into two, divide this up into two, divide this up into two, and so forth. And you're going to have your 12 notes here. So you're going to have C, right? C sharp, which is D flat. You're going to have D. This is D sharp or E flat, same thing, right? Here's E, here's F, here's F sharp or G flat, here's G, here's G sharp or A flat, right? Here's A, here's A sharp or B flat, and here's B. Okay, there's 12 notes there. And we're going to go through it. So the first organization, the first thing that we want to deal with is C major. Okay, so we number it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and here's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C, right? And as you recall, there's a formula, and it's whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Now the rest, everything else that follows will follow that formula, okay? So we want to just keep this in mind as we go through it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through each one of these notes and their organization, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to pick the fifth note of each organization. All right, so from the C organization, we're going to grab a G, right? And so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And you go G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, I'm not going to keep writing the whole step, half step. It's right there. Just know that I'm using that on each one. And again, this is a process that I think most people go through. And if you haven't seen it, it might help if you see it. Okay, so I know that this is a whole step. This is naturally a half step from B to C, right? You can see it up here. B to C is a half step, right? C, D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. E to F is a half step. We have to make that a whole step, and we do that by sharpening F. Okay, and now F sharp to G becomes a half step. Okay, so now what we do is we're going to grab the 5 of G, right? And we get D. So what we're going to do again is we're going to keep numbering 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And we're going to take D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Same thing, whole step. This needs to be a whole step. So we sharpen F, and you notice that F is, so now you grab 5, which is A, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Okay? A to B is a whole step. B to C is a half step, so you have to sharpen C. C to D is a half step. That's correct. That follows the formula. From 3 to 4, half step. 4 to 5, whole step. E to F is a half step, so you have to sharpen F. And then F to G, you have to sharpen the G. Okay, so now you have 3 sharps, right? You had 2 sharps before, and you had 1 sharp before that. And you're going to grab E, which is the 5th of A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you have E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. So E to F, you need to make that a whole step. F to G, you need to make that a whole step by sharpening it. G to A is now a half step. A to B is naturally a whole step. B to C, C needs to be sharp to make that a whole step. And also D needs to be sharp to make that a whole step, and also to make that a half step. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you have 4 sharps. Okay, so we're going to grab B, and we're going to take it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm running out of room a little bit, but we'll get it. Okay, so B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Okay, so B to C, sharp to make it a whole step. D has to be sharp to make it a whole step. D to E is now a half step, which is following the formula. E to F, F needs to be sharp to make it a whole step. G needs to be sharp to be a whole step. And A needs to be sharp to make it a whole step, and to make A to be a half step. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sharps. And the next key you're going to grab. Now what I'm going to do is sort of show what happened so far. Okay, so we had C, right? You had C up here, and C went to G. In order, it went C, G, D, A, E, and B, right? Let's see it again. C, G, D, A, E, B, right? And it follows this way, and you can actually hear it like this. So G, here's a D, here's an A, and it's following in order, and here's an E, and then here's B. So you can hear they pretty much, they work together. It's a 1 and a 5. Okay. Here's C, right? There's a C, right? Okay, so you can see that the last 5 was F, right? F sharp. So we're gonna continue with F sharp, and it's gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and okay. So now F sharp is also G flat, and what I do is when I get to this point, I go with the flats, because we already covered the sharps, right? We hit all these sharps, and it actually, if you keep going sharps in this organization, it gets very disorganized. So the way to do it more organized is to go with the flats. So you go G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? So G flat to A flat, you need to flatten A. A flat to B, you need to flatten B to make this a whole step. And B to C, C needs to be flat. So now you got whole step, half step, still following this formula. If you get confused, just go to the formula and you'll be able to follow it. So here's C flat, now you have to flatten D. That keeps it as a whole step. D to E, that keeps that as a whole step. Now, when you flatten E, you created a whole step, which is correct, and then G was flat, okay? So there you have it, the correct formula, the key of G flat, and all these flats, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 flats, okay? To go back to this, what we did, okay, is we went C here, going back down this line, we went C to G, right? Then we went G to D. Then we went D to A. And then we went A to E. And then we went E to B. And then we went B to G flat, okay, or F sharp, which is here. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to show this circle of chromatic intervals, the 12 chromatic intervals, and also showing the circle of fifths, or the way that it goes through each one through the fifths. Okay, so now we're at G flat, and I'm going to take the fifth here, and we're going to continue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, it's D flat. This is just showing the process. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. It's actually a good exercise. I mean, it really is. It's challenging to do it this way, and I know it can be confusing, but I still think it's good to see somebody sort of struggling their way through this kind of thing. All right, so D flat to E, still following the formula. That's a whole step. E flat creates a whole step between E and F. That's correct. And then G is going to be flat to make a half step. A to create a whole step. B needs to be flat to make a whole step. B flat creates a whole step between C, and then C to D flat is a half step. So you can see they're becoming less. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Before you had 6 flats, now you have 5 flats. Now we're going to keep our process. Grab the 5, which is A flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what do we say? A flat, right? A flat, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Okay, A flat, B flat. Okay, that's a whole step. D needs to be flat. E needs to be flat. Created a whole step there. F to G is a whole step, and A is flat. Okay, we're going to grab the 5 here. There's E flat. Actually, I'm going to continue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you got E flat, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. And so E flat to F is a whole step. F to G is a whole step. A needs to be flat to make a half step. B needs to be flat to keep that as a whole step. B flat to C is a whole step. That's good. C to D is good. And E flat. 1, 2, 3 flats. Okay, we're getting near the end now. So again, showing the process. This is why I think a lot of people don't necessarily like to go through this, because maybe it's complicated, or maybe it's sort of difficult to watch. But I think ultimately everybody goes through it, so why not take a good look at it? All right, so I'm grabbing the 5. It's B flat, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Right, whole step. This is correct. B flat to C is a whole step. C to D is a whole step. E needs to be flat to make a half step. This created a whole step. E flat to F is a whole step. F to G is a whole step. G to A is a whole step. So it's all following the formula. And there you have it. You have 2 flats. And we're almost done. We're right there. So we're going to grab F. Right? We're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's going to go F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, right? So F to G is a whole step, G to A is a whole step, A to B is a whole step, so you need to flatten B. And when you flatten B, you created a whole step between B and C, so that's correct. C to D is correct, D to E is correct, and E to F is correct. So you only have 1 flat. And that's the whole thing, all right? So that's the process that everybody goes through in the beginning to learn their sharps and flats. And when you learn your sharps and flats, you can see where these functions, the functions of each note, have a certain organization, and they have a certain character, a certain color. And the reason is because of the sharps and flats and the organization of the distances between the notes. And so you can think of them as having certain abilities. They do have certain functions and certain characters, right? And just to go back to see this, when we left off, we were on G flat and F sharp, right? And I don't know how I can do this. I guess I could do it like this. Maybe not. So anyway, you have F sharp to G flat, and what happened was we went to G sharp, D flat, right? Because G, B, D, D is the 5 of G, right? And then D, F, A is the 5 of D, right? So we go here. A, C, E, where's E? E's over here. It's E flat. Okay, and these are the minor intervals of C, right? So E, G, B, where's B flat? That's over here. Okay, so there's B flat, and then B, D, F, this was the last one with 1 flat, and then F, A, C goes back to C. Okay, so that is your formula, and this is all the 12 keys. So now you know how to find all the 12 keys, and it's a good practice. Get a notebook, or just be aware of it. And if you hear people talking about it, at least now you saw somebody struggling through, because I really, I don't know if that was clear or helpful. But that's what it is. That's what people go through. So here's all your sharps, right? And here's all your flats. And that's it. And that's all I got for you today, ladies and gentlemen. I will keep making videos and trying to get better at this. It does help to It does help to practice this thing. And that's pretty much it. And you can see here, here's the 12-note chromatic scale. We basically just went through this. There's a straight line, right? And over here, you see it as a circle, right? You have it here. So that's the 12 keys in a circle, and that's the 12 keys in a straight line. And so now what's going to happen is we're going to move towards building chords, okay? Next time I'm going to probably talk about triads, and it's just 3 notes. And I think it gets a lot easier from here in terms of, at least now you know where it's all coming from, okay? And you can refer back to this if necessary. Okay, so that's all I have. And thank you for watching, and please subscribe, comment, and like. Thank you. Have a good night.